So when you did this deep exploration of these different social innovations over time, you were able to step back and note that there are 6 patterns, right? That you have that seem to be consistent around how social innovations kind of start as a novel idea, but then over time evolve into something that we all just take as a given. So can we ask you to spend a little time kind of speaking to each one of those 6, and what does that really mean, and maybe kind of a concrete example of each one?
Sure. So, Sylvia, before I do, I want to say 2 things. One, these patterns emerged out of a journey, out of an exploration that my wife and working companion, Vicki Kamak, and I did for 2 years at the request of the McConnell Family Foundation. They were concerned, as we were, about this paradox of short-term success. Their grantees were being successful. Our work had planned, had achieved some modest success, and yet when we looked, and when McConnell looked, the dial hadn't changed on poverty or homelessness or the isolation of people with disability, or you name the issue or challenge. So it's this this kind of quest to see how we could improve our ability to make durable change. And the 6 patterns, I confess, you're making them more glorious perhaps than they should be, but they were almost a self-defense mechanism. They were our attempt to make sense of what we were learning. And so there may be more out there, or there maybe there should be less. They're just our observations of what we noted, and we've kind of used that framework since then to try and understand how to make durable change. But I would just want to say that if people think that they're perfect, or that that they're exactly what they should be applying, then maybe there's something wrong with them. Just use them as a framework. Is that okay for a startup, Sylvia? And then should I just launch into it, or did you want
Absolutely. To and I think when we were chatting initially, one of the things that we talked about was how is so maybe we can start here. How would a pattern be different than a strategy?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Good. Thanks for reminding me of that. Well, maybe the simplest way is that as I see strategy, you're at A. And you know where you're going. You're going to be, and so you put in place a strategy to help you get there. Where I think we're at, actually, I think it's very, for the kind of challenges that we want to tackle, climate change and species extinction and moving from a carbon-based economy, homelessness, abuse, you name it. These are going to require some modesty or humility in our thinking. And I would suggest that we're at A, but we're going to maybe. That we're not 100% certain. We know the direction we want to go in, and we know what we want to achieve in general terms. And so where a pattern is helpful is that, if you accept a pattern, these are, this is built on observations, connections, relationships between seemingly disparate events that show up so regularly that you can't ignore it. Whereas in a strategy, if something happens, you might treat it as irrelevant, as kind of getting in your way of powering through. But in a pattern, you're going, I wonder what that's telling me. Is there something emerging here that I should pay attention to? Maybe I should go sideways. Maybe I should stop for a moment. Maybe I should figure out a way to connect with that group of people who I didn't think were about the same thing, but maybe they are. Maybe there's something there that can help me, or maybe there's a new methodology. So a pattern opens up our palette, expands it, and prepares us for that inevitable surprise. So I hope that's
it's very helpful, because obviously one of the things that I as I look at them, my mind is leaping ahead to, okay, so how do I take this knowledge and integrate it in what I'm doing, or how I think about this work, and I think what you've done for me in framing it that way is sort of saying, yeah, these are patterns, and it's a way. It's almost like it's not a what, but it's a how. It's a way in which I might want to think differently about how I approach the work, which, you know, is different than a strategy, which is interesting.